The first meeting of the G20, under the presidency of South Africa is taking place in Johannesburg this week. Deputy finance ministers and central bank governors from these member states are meeting to discuss the rise in global inflation and interest rates amid low economic growth globally. Newzroom Afrika's business editor, Xolani Mbanjwa, is at that meeting and he joins us now live. Xolani, and as we know, good afternoon to you. There are a whole range of geopolitical issues that will feed into this discussion around the economies of G20 member states and other countries. All right, we do apologize. We seem to have lost our connection there to Xolani Mbanjwa. We will try to re-establish it. And I think it has now been re-established. Xolani, there you are. If you can now hear us, thanks for the thumbs up. These discussions taking place over the next 4 days will have a whole range of implications for G20 countries. At least that's the hope.
Indeed, Michelle, that is the hope, that this is just not another talk shop. And it's something that is worth noting, that the African Union became a full member of the G20 only last year. And it's important that they're in the room because they represent a billion people on the African continent who need these deliberations to come to fruition and change their lives. This is why we are speaking this afternoon to Albert Muchanga, who is the African Union Commissioner on Economic Development, Trade and Tourism and Minerals. Commissioner Muchanga, thank you very much for your time.
A pleasure.
Why is it so important for the African Union to be part of the G20 bloc of nations? What do you hope to gain as now an ally such as South Africa is leading this important bloc of nations?
First of all, what does Africa offer? Africa offers a young and growing population. The median age is 19 years of age. Come 2015, Africa will account for 25% of the global population. In the year 2100, Africa is going to account for 38 to 40% of the global population. So we bring in demography. And with demography, it comes in the principle of inclusivity. So by admitting the African Union in the G20, we are promoting inclusivity. That is the first issue. The second issue are natural resources. As we go towards the green transition, strategic or critical minerals are going to play a key factor. A lot of countries around the world will need access to those critical minerals, and Africa has a lot at her disposal. Third factor, agriculture. Africa has vast arable land, and the world population is growing. So Africa is in the future is going to emerge as a breadbasket of the world. So this is what we are bringing to the to the world stage, and with that we are bringing our voice. We are contributing to global governance through the G20. So our voice is heard, our interests are projected, and we're able to dialogue with the rest of the world to ensure that there's a meeting of minds.
Mr. Muchanga, one of those interests for the African Union is the issue of illicit financial flows.
Yes.
Big companies from around the world operating, extracting those minerals right here in agriculture, in many other sectors. They are actually taking money out of the continent, and the continent is estimated to be losing at least $88 billion per year because these big companies are actually involved in illicit financial flows. What are you here to tell or to demand from your partners in the G20 for that to actually stop in order to benefit African countries?
What we are telling the members of the G20 is that all of them should support the ongoing work at the United Nations for a framework convention on international tax cooperation. And one of the protocols that we would like to see negotiated under that convention is a protocol on the elimination of illicit financial flows. So if we win that support, then we'll go very, very, very far and ensure that the resources which illegally go out of the country, or out of the continent, let me say, are returned on the continent, and they are used to self-finance our socio-economic development programs. So we are advocating very strongly that we get international support for the ongoing negotiations in New York on a framework convention on international tax cooperation. And in addition to that, I've requested finance ministers, central bank governors, and tax administrators across Africa to second tax experts to their national missions in New York so that they can give technical advice to the negotiators from the point of view of the central bank. Because some of the illicit financial flows go through the central banks, some of them go through illicit financial flows, some of them go through Ministry of Finance. All those are interested parties. So I've said second your experts to give that technical knowledge. So, but from the wider membership here, our expectation is that they will fully support the ongoing work at the United Nations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muchanga. Albert Muchanga is the African Union Commissioner on Economic Development, Trade and Industry, and Tourism and Mineral Resources. One of the issues that have to be discussed here at the G20 is the issue of illicit financial flows, wherein many countries around Africa are being taken for a ride by big corporates who are actually taking money out of the continent. And it is estimated that, and these are conservative estimates, that it's actually $88.5 billion that is actually leaving our shores without any tax. And Mr. Muchanga says this is what they'll be fighting for behind these closed negotiations to make sure that Africa gets its pound of flesh. Back to you in studio, Michelle.